Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Middara Unintentional Malum Act 1.
Oh my God.
This is the technically discussion 2.0 as well as a discussion for Chapter 5, because we will talk about that. Going over all of our thoughts now that we have completely finished Act 1. And boy, oh boy, was it a ride.
It sure was.
This entire thick book we have gone through. Well, not entire. Obviously, you skip a bunch of stuff if you don't have certain story flags and so on and so forth. So, with the end of Chapter 5, what I find the most fascinating is actually it does not tell you to, like, wrap up or anything. So I'm assuming you just put everything...
It's all just going to carry over.
Yeah. I hope they do have something in Act 2 to kind of, like...
Make an easier transition.
Get caught up. I'm sure they'll have, like, a synopsis or something. But, yeah, because it's, like, there's so much stuff that's all over the place. But, yeah, as far as it's concerned, you just wrap it up like you are. Like you're going, still playing Act 1.
Yeah.
Overall, Devin, what did you think of Middara?
I enjoyed Middara.
You did?
I had a good time with Middara. It is everything a dungeon crawler needs to make a dungeon crawler work. Because of them that I've encountered, it needed something, and this thing had it. It had that overarching storyline to draw that gameplay in, to make you want to continue to keep upgrading. Yeah, I think a unique aesthetic. There's so much you can go on.
Yeah, that's true. Overall, I also had a good time. Although if you watch quite a few of this series, it's like, oh, he hates this game. There are aspects that I absolutely despise. There is just no hiding that. But what this game does well, it does really well. And the two things that I think Middara does better than a lot of other games is its story. Is top-notch, especially with the Foreteller app. The rewriting it does is better than what's actually in the book. If I ever had to actually read this out loud,
hell no,
I'd kill myself.
Yeah, no, it's not getting played.
Exactly. So, side note, I am very excited that Foreteller for Act 2 and 3 is actually going to be doing professional voice acting.
Yes,
I felt...
she did a really good job.
She did. And they are bringing her into Act 2 and 3. So I think her as the narrator, or maybe her as the voice of certain characters, will be good. But I think, like, the finale, for example, in Chapter 5 was kind of lacking because she just obviously couldn't do the voice of the Shadow Lord. Having ambiance or another booming voice or whatever would really make it, like, intense.
Some music.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Exactly. So I'm very excited for that. But overall, yeah, I wasn't like... She did a good enough job that I knew who was talking whenever she was doing it, which is impressive for the range of a female voice actor, which is awesome. But the story is leagues above a lot that we have played. And the second thing that I think this game does insanely well is the character builds. Very JRPG, tons of different ways to build that, while... not every build... Well, I would say every build is viable. You just have to do a lot of tweaks. Because at the very beginning, like, of Chapter 1, 2, and maybe 3, Zeke's guitars were not... The quick attacks were not doing it. And then Chapter 4 and 5, it's like, now he's doing 90 damage.
Right. We're doing 100 hacks around.
Exactly. So the scale of progression does work. Like,
not bad scaling.
No, like whenever we were getting further and further, and as it was unlocking more and more gear, it's like, that shit's so expensive. And I was worried it was going to do kind of like a KDM thing where it's like, oh, well, only one person gets to upgrade, everyone else will stay behind. But you're really given enough money that everyone gets to upgrade a little bit and still feel like they're participating.
Right.
But we all had completely different builds that were crucial, and you have your own campaign going on with completely different builds.
Yep.
There's just so many weapons.
Yeah.
And so many armors and relics and unlockables that we didn't even see all the unlockables. That's like, ooh, this is the perfect build. You can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just an example of like, there was a weapon I think we saw that was like, you deal extra damage based off your strength. Like, so if you had like the brute serum with an item.
Oh, his cleaver.
The cleaver, yeah. Which, it's like, oh, yeah, just those two alone is like, hey, now I do extra damage because my strength is insane.
Yeah. It's a more guaranteed Zenvato.
Mm-hmm. Like, every character at the very beginning of the whole campaign, it kind of is like, hey, here's kind of what they want to do. Mm-hmm. And you can stick with that. I think that's a really smart way to do it, is be like, hey, Nightingale's kind of the magic user. Oh, okay. Well, that's easier for new people. But if you don't want her to be the magic user...
You can put her however. Like Rook has more hit points. He can be the crewer.
Yeah. And it does things that I've just never seen in other games. Usually it's all very limited, or it's just a bunch of loot drops, and it's like, none of this really matters.
Right.
So I enjoyed all of that.
The consumables, upgrades, the relics... You got your accessories, then you got your disciplines.
And your disciplines, you're not locked to like, oh, this is only equipped to Nightingale. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to play Nightingale right now. Let's bring in Damocles. And it's like, oh, well, let's just kind of mix and match what we already paid for.
Right.
That's just it's very free-flowing. Yeah, the story is just really gripping, which is hard for board games, I feel, to be engaging. Like, by the time we were done with Gloomhaven, it's like, I don't really know what the story is.
Right.
It's like we were talking about the story of Middara outside of playing. It's like, what do we think's going to happen? Mm-hmm. You know,
who's going to die? Who's going to fall in love?
Who's going to die? What's going to happen? Where do you think it's going? How do you think Act 2 and 3 are going to go? Mm-hmm. Which you just don't really do with board game narratives.
Right.
At least I don't. It's more like that's what you do for shows or video games.
Well, I mean, that's how they built this thing around. Is this big old... choose your own adventure style. I mean, several of our tags didn't really pay off, but they'll pay off in Acts 2 and 3. So I think that's interesting that our flags are going to carry over.
Exactly, yeah. Because we had, out of The Time is of the Essence, 2 never showed up. Mm-hmm. 1, 2... So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. There are 44... or 43 flags in Act 1. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We got 15. We got 5 achievements. Which I could... The achievements never even showed up later on, as far at least...
I think they're just more for a one-time payoff. Like, okay, if you can do this in this encounter, we're going to give you something free.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool. It's like, you can really try to go out of your way to get them. Mm-hmm. But... yeah, it's insane. There were so many flags that we got that just never showed back up. Mm-hmm. And so many that kept showing back up. It's like, we didn't do that.
Right.
Like, we don't have that. Where do we even get that? And I think it's smart because that's kind of how they keep track of, like, voice actors. It's just like, oh, if we don't have this, then that means we must not have this character with us.
Right.
It's just done insanely well. I do... because the characters... and I like that they're actually written characters. Like, we don't have to project role-playing onto them. Mm-hmm. It's like, nope, this is exactly who Nightingale is, and that's who Damocles is. And even the side characters that aren't the main 4, I really liked. Like, Damocles is my favorite character.
Mm-hmm. He's probably become more... it seems like he's become more core now. He's going to be...
like it.
The original crew, because he didn't die or anything, and nothing made him leave. And then it sounds like Patrick's going to be pretty core now, too.
Yeah, they split the party.
And Justice, I mean... she was a given. Well, I mean, they were all... yeah, it seems like Patrick, Damocles, Justice, like, you are getting eventually at some point. Zephyr's the only one that's been nebulous.
Zephyr, Shayless later. I guess spoiler.
You get Shayless regardless.
Yeah, I should have said not Shayless. I should have said spoilers at the beginning, then
then there's Echo. We don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
Because there's that 10th slot on the sheet.
Right.
Like, there's going to be another. So, yeah.
Potentially that. Also, it's like, what if we chose to give up Rook?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a huge
I know.
decision.
Oh, fuck. That was an option.
Yeah. To be like, okay, yeah, Rook, if you're... that is your
what
role.
would have happened? Would it have, like, forced us into the combat anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Or
I mean, we could have potentially not got Damocles, because you can fight him.
Right.
I think he's a boss.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it is... It's loosely choose your own adventure. Like, you're given very... Like... It's not like, oh, look at the map and decide where you want to go. It's not that kind of game. But you are eventually given choices. And I like that because I think the choices, because there's so few of them, that means they're more important.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being given a bunch of choices where it's just like, does this even matter? Probably not.
Right.
It's like, nope, time to make a choice. The person playing this character gets to make that choice. Means it's probably very significant to the story, and I enjoy that. So yeah, I mean, I'm extremely excited for Act 2. We know from talking to the designers and the team that Act 2 is smaller, and Act 2 and 3 are about the size.
Yeah, they're combo, but they're like a little bit less than Act 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like about the same size, but just a smidge less. It sounded like
Yeah.
the way he described it.
Which makes sense because this was a lot of world building.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we're in the thick of things, it's like Act 2, I feel like Act 2 is going to be kind of like how the Game of Thrones books are, where it's like they're going to be split. So you're going to have stories from the half, like Padrick and Shayless and Zeke, from their side, and then you're going to have Nightingale and all those other people. And it's probably going to, Act 2 is going to be the jumping back and forth.
Okay.
And then Act 3, they come back together and then do the whole, big bad and whatever is happening at the end of Act 2.
Yeah, that would certainly like stretch out the rarity levels by swapping between the two of them, so it would slow down progression.
Right, because we know that they're going into epic and mystic, legendary and mystic and all those kind of items, which I'm very, very excited for. They show a lot more disciplines coming.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what this scaling turns into. Cause,
I know.
Because, I mean, I guess in this conversation we're combining Chapter 5 combo, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, whoo! Chapter 5. They really cranked up the volume.
Yeah. It wasn't as... Chapter 5 I actually enjoyed. Out of all of them, I think I like Chapter 1 better, but I'm a sucker for, like, the beginnings of stories. Like, the very first Lord of the Rings is my favorite. The first Harry Potter book is my favorite. So I really like Chapter 1 because it's like, oh, that's where we were, and now we're here. Mm-hmm. But Chapter 5 I did enjoy a lot because it felt succinct. Like, it didn't feel like it was just overloading you with just bullshit all the time. Mm-hmm. Chapter 4 was just such garbage. I fucking hated Chapter 4.
Chapter 4, that was the swamp, the anointed. Yeah.
It was
the Soul Stitcher.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so Chapter 5 was okay. We had the justice was captured. Was captured. And we went to rescue her at the Eyrie.
Yep. It was kind of, going into the Shadow Lord's domain.
Mm-hmm.
We had the potential to do a few boss fights that we actually skipped through decision making. But the one boss fight we did, which was the Shadow Lord, actually felt good.
Yeah.
Best boss fight in the whole game.
Yeah. They definitely... they kept him under control because that was going to be an end game scenario, I think.
Right.
Versus, like, they had so many different outs for you. If you, like, lost to Alana or Aisling, they had different effects that would occur.
Yeah.
That would keep you going, but you might have dividends you have to pay in later acts, possibly, I assume. But
exactly.
But with him, it was like, it's obviously going to be a game over scenario if we lost.
Yeah, and I mean the best thing about this game though is that if you do fail, it's fail forward, so you just keep going. It's not like, oh, redo it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm not redoing it.
And I think that's where like a good number of those flags come from, is failing certain fights.
That's true. Yeah, so it just flowed because it was also like they couldn't make him so OP because it's like it didn't matter at the end. Like we beat him and he's just like, oh, anyway, that was fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, get out.
Yeah.
Oh!
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
You
I like to
really?
be able to satisfyingly destroy a god.
Yeah, there's no way you're gonna destroy God in Act 1. Like, I didn't expect to actually beat him.
Yeah.
But it was it still was like, hey, okay, well, we proved something. We got justice out. It's like, yeah, I wonder if it's possible to have justice. You just take way too long.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I'm kind of interested because I mean we had several options. So we lost time when we helped the coffin.
yes.
But I assume if we had battled him, we wouldn't have lost that time.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
And then we had the option to help Echo, which I
Yeah.
assume would have lost us time again.
Right.
And I guess taking the time to fight him would have also lost us time.
Right.
So if we helped and then who's to say what path it would have sent us down if we didn't help the coffin? Because it sounds like he
Right.
showed us the perfect path.
Yeah.
Once we helped
yeah,
him.
he was like, you follow the blood, and then like later on, it's like Zeke's looking at the blood, and the Shadow Lord's like, I see how you fucking found me. Goddamn coffin
I've
guy.
got lava pits. I've got soul captures.
Right.
What the fuck? How'd you get here?
Yeah, he's like, now I'm annoyed.
Yeah. So
He's like,
oh,
it's that coffin, dude. Yeah. So overall, I had a great time. If the story wasn't what it was, oh god, I would have quit a long time ago. The story is what kept me wanting to come back, and the character building. But with all that being said,
okay, before you get to the game mechanic that you dislike, I did really enjoy how it had us like it gave us a run before we got to spend our money, and then we had like 2,000
Yes.
at the point. So it really felt I really enjoyed the gearing up, that last
Yes.
upgrade before the boss.
I do
I thought
agree.
that was really cool.
because the entire time we just kept fighting and kept getting in scenarios, and it's like we have so much money. Like what the fuck? And then it's like Lakshmi shows up, and it's like we can get anything we want.
What the fuck did your fucking glass do? It glowed.
My Malum, my
yeah,
story
it glowed. They talked about it, but then nothing happened with it. That's what I'm. Maybe we had to. I bet you we had to lose a fight. I bet there was a fight we would have had to lose, and it would have kicked off.
Maybe
Just like the black ticket.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, that's in my.
Yeah.
If Isling died, you get the black ticket.
Okay.
And then if you lose against a certain boss, it kicks off and you get saved.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, maybe we never lost.
Yeah.
So it I don't know, because that is one thing. It's not because in a lot of JRPGs, especially video games, there's one thing that I always love. It's also an anime, which this is heavily inspired by JRPGs. We never once had a moment where like we were fighting like an insane boss and other people jumped in to help. I always love that in anime, whenever it's like, we're getting our ass beat, and then like your friends come in, and it's like, tide's turned. There's a JRPG series I'm playing called Legends. It's the Sky series. Totally drawn. I want to say Legend of Heroes or Trails in the Sky.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot, and it's always just exciting, and I love it. It's like it just never happened. Like we never had like the cinematic moment, because they don't do cinematics in the middle of fights. It's like you finish the encounter, then story happens. But it's like it would have been really cool if we were fighting like whatever, the Lich Worm, and then as we're like getting our ass beat, you just hear like gunshots, and Patrick shows up, and then Shayla's comes in. It's like it always kept with the core four, which makes sense. It's a lot to manage. Like we were able to do it really well with controlling two, but I just like that from a story element. It's like you have so many other characters. You could have had like side NPCs show up as a narrative to help turn the tide as we're losing. But yeah, at the end of the day, in Chapter 5, getting all that gold, and then the final one where it's like
the big.
we can just purchase whatever we want.
Yeah, that was a good time.
All to what's really cool is I'm glad it's not like, anyway, pack everything up. We're gonna have to we're gonna do that typical video game thing sequel where it's like,
you lose now.
Yeah, you lose all your powers, you lose all your armor.
Yeah. I thought for sure they were going to do shit like that, but no, they keep the scaling going.
Yeah. All right. Negatives.
Dice.
Dice. Dice, dice, dice. If you do not like dice, which I don't like dice,
it's like I don't have like a solution to the problem.
Without,
I really don't.
Without completely fixing or completely remaking.
Yeah, it's like here's what if you don't mind me going first.
Go for it.
Like, because like I like, and I don't have a good solution.
Yeah.
But it's like you can't really. I don't know because there's pleasures in both, I guess. Like when you're rolling the dice, okay, I do my attack and I hit. It's great. I'm doing this. It's like you have to kind of step out of the fight. It's like there's in the D&D you get to visualize your kind of character fighting, but it's like okay, now I have to stop. What are my symbols? How far am I over? Mm-hmm. And then it's just hard calculation, which to some people, and I'm part like that. That I like doing the calculations. I like seeing my numbers go up, and then I have to calculate my damage. But then it's like I don't get to pause and think, okay, that he just swatted him across the leg and knocked him off balance. And
it's almost like the role of the other players to do that for you.
While you're running the numbers.
Mm-hmm. It kind of takes you out
very
of combat.
Slow in that.
Yeah.
So each attack is running the numbers, running the numbers. What are my different effects? Because and this is only going to get worse.
That's true. That is true. That part I actually really enjoy. Mm-hmm. I'm with you on it. I like, rolling whenever you hit and roll high. It's like boom, boom, boom. Okay, so that's 5 over. That's 5 damage. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, 20, 40 damage. It feels good.
Yeah, because that's good, but it's bad.
It is bad, yes. It completely pulls you out of the theme. Mm-hmm. My biggest problem with these dice, and this is not just Middara, it's any game, literally any game. I don't mind randomness in games. I don't want combat to be deterministic. I don't want to be able to go, we won or we lost, because that's not fun either. My problem is when dice determine whether you succeed or fail. I like dice whenever it's like, it doesn't work with these, but whenever it's like. There's various other games where it's like, okay, here's what I got. What can I do with that? Mm-hmm. So you're still getting randomness. It's like, man, I really want to do this special attack. I need these symbols. Okay, I didn't get them. That's fine. What can I do with what I got? So you're still presented with options. What I absolutely hate, and this is 100% in Middara, so you might also hate it, and it doesn't go away. It doesn't get better. It's not like, chapter 1 is like that, but later in chapter 5, it's mitigated. No, it's the entire game. It's like, I'm going to determine what I want to do. I'm going to spend all my SP. I'm going to move. I'm going to spend this to do this massive attack. And I missed. Okay.
Done.
And then it's like... And that's just so demoralizing if it happens. It's like, I can miss. Like, I don't want to always hit. It's like, I do always want to hit. But I'm not going to be upset if it's like, okay, I missed. That's fine. But when you miss over and over and over and over, it's like, why the fuck am I here? Let's just say I died, and I don't even have to worry about it. It's a balance issue.
Yeah, I'd be interested in talking to one of the designers on the choice of the design of their dice, which is really interesting. Because they've got your lower numbers, which have no symbols, so it's a 50% chance that you're getting barely any symbols in a lower number, and then the other 50% chance that you're getting a decent number with solid symbols, and there's a gap between them. Some of them have a gap anyway. At least the magic dice do, where it's we've got 4 through 6 as our low side, but then we have 8 through 10 on our high side, so there's a whole missing 7.
Right. Yeah, because to me, it's like they wanted the highs to be really high and the lows to be really low, and that's just not fun because everything in every encounter is hinged on die rolls. So your encounters are super easy or super hard depending on which side is rolling really well. Right.
Because I'm like, I would be interested to see why.
Right.
And what their calculations were. Because I'm like, I guess on average you're going to roll one and the other. So I'd roll a low, and then I'd probably roll a higher one, and then that's going to be my average.
Which is still going to be a miss.
Yeah, that's true. And we've run the numbers, and that on average you're going to miss more than you're going to hit. It seems in certain areas. Definitely in early part of chapter 4, we were more likely to miss.
Yeah, because you found the guy who did some charge.
Yeah, and it was a 30. If you're fighting, I think it was green or red, I forget. You were at, I think it was red. I forget. But anyway, it was like a 36% chance to hit.
Yeah, the defenses of the enemies were slightly higher, like 1 or 2 higher, so you were more than likely to miss. Like it was like higher than 50% chance that you were missed, and that was our big problem with folklore. Was it skewed against you, and it's like, well, that's not fun. Middara does the exact same thing,
right. And it's like they do have like methods of like several attacks, which we discovered. You can have multiple attacks. You can get rerolls with certain effects and very specific cards.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you don't have that. It's like if you don't have that, it's a bad time.
Yeah, and that kind of ties into, we talked about how the openness of character builds. Yeah, you can build whatever you want. Theoretically, like you can and can,
but you're going to need some dice mitigation.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, well then no, you can't really build whatever you want because the game's core system does not allow that.
Like with KDM, it's like, okay, so if you don't have that headband,
right,
you're going to have a bad day.
Exactly. And it's like, well then you're not really free to choose how you want to play because...
So you don't have Hammer Helm or Kill the Messenger?
Yeah, you're at the whim of the dice. And it almost feels like they should have inverted it. Like how would it be if... Because you want to roll high. And some people may not like this. They might really love rolling 2 10s. Like one of my attacks against the Shadow Lord was 2 10s. And it's like, that's fucking 40 damage. And that feels really good. But what if, like, the high number had no symbols, but the lower numbers had symbols? So you actually... And the symbols mattered more, But the problem with the symbols is all they do is add to damage. Almost none of them add to your hit. So mitigation...
It's very rare. It's only for very specific weapons.
Very specific weapons, yeah.
Yeah, the Saber was the only one I saw.
Yeah.
Like its star would add
the Bone
to the
Chipper
attack roll.
Katars technically had an ability that if you got consecutive hits, it was easier to hit, which is cool. So, I mean, I'll give them something that at least there is some mitigation, but my idea of mitigation is kind of like, imagine if it was, spending symbols to get +1 to hit. Or even give you a decision. Hey, you could use these 2 shields to add +3 to hit, or you can use them to add +3 to damage. So it's like, man, do I want to add more damage? No. Do I? Oh, well, I'd really like to hit, but I'm not going to do as much damage. It's just... Yeah, I don't know if like having the high numbers like a 10 on a blue be blank. So you actually kind of want to roll high and roll low. Yeah,
I couldn't say. I don't.
Because like you said, with all the low
they certainly made hitting is definitely very beneficial, and there was no. I mean, in the higher levels, you could really just touch them. Okay, I've got all these abilities. I'm still going to do all this shit ton of damage.
Yeah.
And then I can do my follow-up because I actually hit. So I understand the reason you want to reduce the percentage to hit, but then that also doesn't lead to a happy fun time.
Right.
So
yeah,
I guess that's certainly a trap in this type of game.
Yeah.
Is that like, okay, I want to add all this cool shit to making attacks, but then it's like, okay, the characters are going to be way too powerful, so maybe you reduce the likelihood of them hitting at this point.
Yeah,
and that's not fun. Like with folklore, okay, I am... What was it? I think it was like a 40% chance to hit in folklore.
Pretty much,
from the beginning, and it was like, this is awful.
Yeah, you just feel so weak the entire time. So it's like they wanted it to feel like an epic, very anime-esque, and it is anime-esque with the items and all that, but it's like you feel like a little bitch whenever you just miss all the time. Like, I guarantee you we missed more often than we hit this entire campaign. Yeah. Even though we never lost, so I guess I can't say it's unbalanced. But it just doesn't feel good whenever you're in a 3-hour side quest and it's just like, you're like, I thought this was going to be an hour, but it's taking forever because we're missing the entire time. We're fighting cave sickles again, and we're missing. There's no fix for it because there's just dice.
Maybe it's just something you have to do with a large game that's going to go and scale, that has to scale with time. So, I don't know. I mean, more game makers would know better than I do.
Yeah.
But
we have 2 great examples of games that use dice that are phenomenal. Oathsworn and Aeon Trespass.
Yeah.
Aeon Trespass is like you have the fate dial. So there's a risk to being like, you don't want your fate high, but it's like...
So it seems risk-reward seems to be the method.
I think it's like, It's like, I want to hit.
Because it gives us that agency to make that decision.
Exactly.
Okay, you could push the odds.
Yes. It's
Okay.
like, so if I choose to risk it to try and hit, and let's say I do hit, I'm like, yay, but then they hit back, and it's like, if your fate is 6 or higher, shit it is, you have no one to blame but yourself, so you can't be mad. You have to be like, well, I made that decision. At least that's how I am, is I'm like, I actively knew the risks, I chose to make it, now I'm reaping what I sow. And that's always nice. Oathsworn is just like, yeah, it's push your luck. Yeah, go ahead. Roll more dice.
Yeah. They're also more curated.
They are.
Because, like, they specifically designed it to be exquisitely balanced.
Right.
Which isn't, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But if you're wanting to do this, like,
That is
customization,
true.
if you want to customize, you want to
That
have
is
a
true.
build, you don't get that.
That is true, yeah. Oathsworn is definitely not,
So
it's not a loot game.
Like, you could be, like in Middara, we could be busted.
True.
In KDM, you could be busted.
That is true.
But like in Oathsworn, in Ann's Trespass, you're never going to be busted.
Yeah. Well, in
You're
Trespass,
always-
we might be. We don't know yet. If it's scaled off KDM.
the way I've seen, the way it's like, maybe.
Yeah, we
I
don't
could
know.
still be wrong. But
Oathsworn, I agree.
But they're both very curated. You're going to get this defined experience. Like they have it measured, like
Yeah.
how challenging this is going to be, and like how they want to make your choices matter more in the throes of combat versus your engine, that you're creating.
That is true. Yeah, so... Yeah, I mean, that's all very true. So it's kind of like... It's going to come down to... Yeah, it's like... Because, like I said, the highs are high. When you have your build and it finally pops off, it wasn't until Chapter 5 where Zeke finally was doing shit. And we kind of had to be more tactile about where we're being placed, which is very cool. I love the fact that movement actually matters in this game. It matters in a few others, but there are some games that I've played that are campaign where it's like, oh, you can move diagonal. Oh, okay, so movement doesn't matter.
Right.
So the orthogonal movement is the best way to do combat in these things because it's actually limiting. Having terrain mattered. Positioning of other players mattered. SOI and line of sight and being like, okay, to make Zeke work, we're going to need Remi or someone's ability to kind of get him into position. And all that is very, very awesome, and I do enjoy that whenever it's going off. But then it's like, we do all that work, and it's like, fucking missed again. All right. And it could just be because we played 4 characters. We had Rook as a pseudo support. There's probably a support that's all about SP buff. That's like, yeah, Zeke, who gives a shit? It wasn't until the Chapter 5 where it's like, oh, at the end, I used all my SP, I have haste, and now Rook gives me 1, and now I gain my 3, so I have 5 SP again.
Right.
So it's like, I'm not as upset if I miss, because it's like, oh, I'll attack again. So it all ended up coming out in the wash, but man, so many times I was like, I'd go into Middara being mentally prepped to be into the theme. And I do that for a little bit, but eventually just the dice get to me, and I'm now just frustrated the entire time. It's like, I can't do anymore. Never really had a problem with Nightingale.
Yeah.
But Magic is like...
Magic seemed a little more balanced, at least.
It did,
a little more even keel.
Yeah. So pretty much all I want to say is I much prefer at least their symbols. They are unique dice instead of just D6s. They are adding new dice, new colored dice.
Maybe I think it was the fact that they had to roll, because both parties had to roll when it comes to spells.
That's true, yeah.
So
versus you just checking a flat number.
Yeah.
Like, I hope I hit it. That is true. That does feel a little bit better, where it's like if I still... like, no, I think you nailed it. Because it's like if I roll a 6 on this gray, it's like, I can re-roll it. That's a 12? Okay, yeah, I'll see.
Maybe they won't be.
Yeah, they could roll low. Versus, like, you don't roll for defense. So it's all or nothing with your personal roll. But it's like, well, why is their defense that? Or it's like, hey, I hit it. Oh, wait, they have armor. Well, never mind. So I'm very curious. They are adding new dice, new disciplines. I really hope in Acts 2 and 3, they just give you stuff that allows you to add to your rolls. Like that type of mitigation. Re-rolling is not enough in my book. At least make that a viable build. Like, hey, I don't get re-rolls. I just get adds. So we'll see. It's like if I roll low, my adds are still doing nothing. But at least I have those options. Who knows?
Yeah.
That is my absolute biggest complaint, is the dice. My second one is the designers must have surrounded themselves with just yes men, because some of these side quests, or most of them, and the boss battles were so egregious. Like, dear God.
They were, I mean...
Just non-stop of just fiddly fucking diving back in for the same enemies. It's like, it never felt rewarding. Not a single time did it ever feel rewarding to go after a loot that was off to the side.
Mm.
And maybe there was something for you in your campaign, but every time I was like, I think there was one time you're like, come on, let's do it. I'm like, you know what, I'll humor you. Let's go out of our way. We'll go through it. And it was like, ooh, it's immortal terrorists or whatever they're called. And I'm like, I fucking told you. It's never rewarding. And that's just disappointing.
Mm-hmm. And maybe it was the style that we play.
Yeah.
Because we always do like try at least 3-4 sessions at once.
Yeah.
And it can be like, okay, I'll say we've been doing this for 7 hours.
Yeah. Or because we played like once a month.
But I think with like, because like me and Ethan would just do one session each time. And it's like you can really kind of like just grind it out, get through all the foes. And it's like, okay, we got them all. It took a while, but okay.
You're also not recording, so it's way more relaxed.
That as well, yeah.
It's like you can play music and you can have food and stuff.
Helps, yeah. God, it really... It's a bummer that we can't play music. It really is.
Well, technically I can. I'll just get copyright struck.
Yeah.
Which I'm not trying to make money. It's just I just don't want my channel deleted.
Right. They would just delete your channel?
You get enough actual strikes on your... I think if you get 3 strikes, they just remove your channel.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
You might actually be able to get sued, too, if I played, like, actual music.
It's not like you'd be making money off of it, though.
Yeah.
We're way off topic now, but...
Anyway, but it's, so it's like, it's the fact that we're recording, but we played once a month, so it's like, we finally got together, let's try and get through this chapter, and, we did one side quest because it took 4 hours. That's very frustrating. And, let's go after that loot all the way over there. Gotta add more tiles, and we got 50 gold. Woo, that added 45 minutes.
Woo!
It almost just felt like he just wanted to just add more just for the sake of adding more, but didn't want to make it interesting or exciting. I can't even remember a single side quest. Like, getting Patrick's gun.
Yeah.
That's chapter 1, I think. No, it's chapter 2.
Yeah. There was the one to kill the flower, for that one to try and get that chick's daughter, but we never gave it to her. We took the money.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm sure that will probably show up in Act 2 or 3, which is interesting because that was that Hendrix guy's wife.
Oh.
They had the same last name. They're Patel. So it would have been his daughter or whatever.
Hendrix was the guy who became the brute.
The Blighted Guardian also poisoned Damocles' mother.
Yep. Oh,
that's interesting.
Fascinating. Yeah. So there is world building. It's not like the side quests were it's just they just were so long, and it's like, ow. Yeah, and I just hate when anything just kind of drags. It's like, okay, yeah, the side quest should probably take an hour and a half. That was 4 hours. And like people think I'm exaggerating. No, we legitimately had side quests that were 4 hours, and I'm like, we got nothing out of that. And the boss battles, like, I remember every single one of them, so they're there, but they're just bullet sponges. They're not designed. They're not interesting enough to be like, this is worth 800 health. 500 from the Lord of Shadows, that felt good. Especially because it's like, okay, we can see he's going to heal. We don't know what he's doing in here. But, like, that Lich Worm, dude.
That Lich Worm was pretty fucked up.
And it's almost like he wanted to be a masochist about it. It's like, dude, you don't understand. You're a board game designer. There's nothing stopping me from being like, it has 100 health. Like, there's nothing stopping anyone from cheating because they're not having fun because you then design a fun boss. Now, from what I've seen, Acts 2 and 3, it looks like the boss sheets are way bigger.
Yeah, they definitely need a little more room to have more steps, I guess, more complications.
More steps going on, more interesting, like, that you feel like they're an actual boss. Like, right now, because this is very pertaining, it's like, it almost feels like the boss fights in here compared to, like, the boss fights in Oathsworn. Oathsworn boss fights are like Dark Souls and Bloodborne. This feels like Remnant boss fights.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, you tried, and it's frustrating. This is a gimmick boss. It sucks. I'm not having a good time. Like, and that's the thing, is there's not that many. Like, we had the Gatekeeper, Melody, Eiling,
Whopper,
yeah, the crab, Hendrix, the Lichworm a couple times, Echo a couple times,
yeah,
and the Lord of Shadows, Shadow Lord. There might be one or two more in there, but that's 8. 8 boss fights in a 5-chapter, year-and-a-half long campaign. They should have been like bangers, or you should be like, I didn't really like that one, but I like these. I didn't like any of them, except for the very last one. But that's because we were OP, and again, we were just killing it on rolls. It's like, oh man, max roll, max roll, max roll, max roll.
Yeah.
So. And like Eiling, our fight was like she just couldn't move. So we just, okay, well, she's not running past us, so she's getting her ass beat. Echo glitched out. It's like, well, she can't hit me because she's not climbing. We killed her Soul Stitcher. So I guess we just win. So yeah, maybe more steps. I think they need to have a lot more contingency plans to where it's like, just to know that things can happen. So it's like, they don't just feel stuck and dumb.
Yeah.
And just don't just be like, well, I can't really think of a way to design this boss to make it interesting, so I'll just give it 1,000 health. It's like, that's just poor design.
Yeah. Especially with like, oh, okay, I could have just focused her on the first fight.
Yeah, it was really the Lichworm one that was like
the 800 portion of it.
Did all that, and then the whole theming of her being like, she's tethered, her whole life is tethered to this Lichworm. It's like, oh, if we kill it, she'll get weak. And it's like, no, actually, you all get penalized. You're blind.
It would have felt a lot better if it had just like dealt 100 damage to her or something.
Yeah,
just
or halved her health. She can still fight. But
that would have been great. That would have felt a lot better.
Yeah, I would have been like, okay, cool. We made the conscious decision. It had more health. It paid off. This was like, no, we actually got penalized for doing that. So,
especially in chapter 5 when it's raining rare items, you did all that for one rare a little bit ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. It's just awful. So you kind of like, I mean, I look ahead to set up for the channel, but it's like you kind of look ahead and it's like, can we avoid a boss fight? Like, I'm not kidding. There were times where it's like, okay, if we choose this option, we're gonna have to fight a boss. If we choose the other option, we won't. I don't want to do a boss fight. Because none of them have been good. So it's like, I mean, if we choose that as a group, we can, but I fucking really don't want to. And that's not what you want in a dungeon crawler. You want to come across big fights and be like, oh yeah, let's do it. Like, I was excited for the Shadow Lord, and I was rewarded. It was good. But yeah. So, the dice... and it's funny because it's like people are thinking, so you just don't like the game. I don't like the dice, I don't like the encounters, I don't like the bosses. So what is about Middara that kept me coming? And I said at the beginning, it's the character building and the story. And like the character building and the story is like a 10 out of 10. The encounters and the actual game mechanisms, I'd probably give a 6. So average those out, you get an 8. Which is, at the beginning, I think when we did our very first preliminary discussion, I think we might have given it a 9.
Yeah, we were very into it. I mean, same with like KDM and all that. These big campaign games, they promise the world.
Right.
Which is then it's like we play a little bit like, okay, it's tapering a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm having a good time. It's like I'm starting to see more of it.
Yeah. Every time we'd come up and I'd set up, I'd be excited to go back into it. So it wasn't like, let's just fucking do this, like with other campaign games where it's like, let's just do this, or you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. So I did always want to keep coming back, and I'm very excited to see what your decisions are and how that impacts your story, because I'm assuming we'll do Act 2 and 3 together while you're doing Act 2 and 3 with your other group. So it's like making radical decisions. So yeah, I mean, that... You got anything else? So where do you think it goes from here? What do you think?
Well, we're splitting the party, and eventually, I guess, and it was hunting a dragon, and then going after Hographer. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm really thinking Act 2 is a total party split till the very end, where it gets back together.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I want to see some more. I don't know. I don't know if they're even gonna be able to do that, because it's like, the more that you make big decisions that are wildly disrupt the story, the bigger the book has to be.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, this big change happened. Okay, let's jump over all this bullshit. Like, when we made that call, like, you jumped through 30 pages.
Yeah. Of stuff.
Stuff. So, means I have to march through that because I'm going to have to fight him.
Yeah, you are.
God.
Yeah, I mean, and you also look at these, which I'm assuming Acts 2 and 3 will be, like, connecting these, so you have the map, and it's like, there's so much stuff here that it's like, as far as I'm aware, Succubus Publishing wants to make this a lifestyle game. Their world is so unique. Like, it's not like, oh, another fantasy game. It's like, no, it's like a JRPG modern time. Like, their lore is so intriguing. So I know they're doing more bounties. They hired a bunch of people to write and design. Like, we had the Blighted Guardian bounty. More of those.
Yeah. And then, like, 2 and 3 will kind of resolve the storyline, but they said that they want to do more. They want to have more to this game.
Yeah, so I imagine it's, like, a lot of side stories. Like, it's like, okay, in between Act 1 and 2, here's, a short mini-campaign that takes you to the crater, or takes you up into... the Witch's Ziggurat.
Yeah, who's to say? Yeah.
And I am all for that. Like, the more I can spend in this world, the better. Like, I can get over the dice and the encounters. I just can't binge it. Like, we committed to binge and finish it today, but it's like, I can't do that. Eventually, the dice really just start pissing me off, and I start not liking it. But we take a break, play a different game, or we come back a month later, and I'm like, I'm good. Let's play again. So I hope that they just continue, that Acts 2 and 3, once they're done, they're like, all right, we're done. And where I think they go from here, it's kind of that. It's just more lifestyle stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you're looking here that's like, well, why would they have it here? Except to just be like, as references. Like, they mentioned the Middle Passage. It's like, oh, that's right there. I never see it, but what's Fair Edge? What's up in Tima? Where the fuck are the king and queen?
Right? On this hunt?
Yeah.
How irresponsible.
They're just gone. I expected them to show up at one point. Like, when the Shadow Lord, that would have been fucking badass. As the Shadow Lord's like, no mortal weapon can kill me, and the fucking king shows up with this god blade and just cuts him down. It's just like, huh?
Yeah.
He's like, don't stay away from my daughter. I expected someone to show up.
Right.
But nope, didn't. Which I get it. Get them out of the way, because if they are super powerful, it's not about them anymore.
Of course.
Yeah, I also enjoyed that it wasn't cringy. It had curse words, but it wasn't like over the top. It had... I mean, it mentioned Padrick and Eiling were good friends. It's like, no, he's blowing that back out. Like, she doesn't make him work for it that hard. She has a loincloth covering her. But yeah, so I liked that it was more young adultish. So I was definitely behind. Definitely very anime inspired. So I want more of that. I'm excited to actually see the character designs. Because if they're going to skip maybe ahead, I'd imagine they would give them a different look. So maybe different abilities. I really hope it's not just like, oh, pull out the Nightingale thing. She has the same ability.
Right. I don't know.
More stuff with that. So, yeah, I don't know. But I am very excited. I can't really think of anything else.
Yeah.
This discussion, I mean, we're obviously going to have different rules because I'll have the rules. People Like you knew more about erratas and rule changes than I did, but I'm like, I don't have those. So we're going to go with what I got. So hopefully more balancing, better boss fights, more reined in.
I'm hoping with the release of the 2 and 3 and the 1.2, they clean up.
Yes.
Because, God, what was it? Another criticism here. I remember I think it was the Corpse Collector. And here's the thing. So it's got rules on his card. Mm-hmm. It has tentacle tokens with effects on the back of the tentacle token.
Yeah.
And then more extrapolation on the tentacle tokens effects in the rule book.
Yeah.
So I have 3 places I have to check for this.
Yeah. For one
thing. So I was pretty irritated by that.
Yeah. No, and that's a very valid complaint. There's another game, Keith and
Same with the, I'm interrupting, the Effigy and his roots.
Oh,
And so it's like, the roots didn't tell you anything. You had to check the rule book.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, and then I have to check his card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I'm hoping they do that. They very much need to, because there's another game Keith and I are doing called Isofarian Guard. They just went on Kickstarter for their 2nd edition, and they're succincting and combining their rulebooks because they had 4 different locations. Mm-hmm. It's like, I just want to know what I do with on this node. Oh, you have to check this book, and then you have to go check this book. It's like, that's too fiddly to fuck with.
Yeah.
Give me one solid location to look for all my answers. So they're doing that. They also heard that the game was way too grindy, so they came up with a bunch of, all the upgrades in that edition were ways to make the game still a lot of fun and true to its design, but fix the grind. Mm-hmm. An example is you can upgrade your base, basically, and, you can actually get workers to send off to go to the mines to be able to get you resources you need, instead of you having to trudge all the way there, mine, and anyway, it's a super grindy game. But they came up with ways to make it less grindy, but you still need materials. It's like, that's great. You didn't just give people what they wanted by being like, oh, you just can have any resource you want. It's like, no, but you made it way more manageable. This game really needs to be, if there's an overall theme, if I could tell Brooklyn one thing, is rein it in. Goddamn, dude. Rein your game in. You're not hurting it. You're actually making more people want to play it. Because if people are like, oh, should I play Middara? It's like, do you have 4 hours to do one encounter? Mm-hmm. No? Well, then no. But if you can actually play it and be like, I feel like I got a full experience out of it in half the time.
A pretty consistent time frame I would see. Because that was wildly different.
Yeah. Or, better yet, you don't have to make them all succinct. You don't have to make them all short and piddly. But if you were looking at, I was hoping to just kind of oh, hey, we're doing bungled caper, put a time limit. An average time limit. When you playtest your goddamn game, be like, bungled caper, average 90 minutes. Mm-hmm. So people can see that and be like, okay. Instead of just being like, oh, well, it looks like a small map.
Okay, this looks like, it's going to be a 4-hour one,
yeah,
guys.
When you play Mansions of Madness, it tells you on average how long it's going to be.
Yes.
So you could look at it, instead of being like, oh, it's 6 tiles, okay, that shouldn't be too bad, and then you see a stupid totem, and it's like, check the other diagram book, and boom, 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 boom. Hey. Thanks for coming over, guys. See you in 2 weeks. Sorry, we can't finish it. My kid just started crying, or you have to go home because you work in the morning. Mm. It's just...
You're selling to adults.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm really hoping with Acts 2 and 3. Time will tell. But overall, still had a great time.
Yeah.
With that being said, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give Middara Act 1?
Oh, what would I give Middara? Let's see. In the realm of, I really enjoy these kind of games. I'm gonna give it 9.
A 9?
9.
Still?
9.5. It's a good game. I enjoy it. I have a good time with it.
I am not that high anymore. I am down to Well, I feel like I re-ranked it actually on Board Game Geek, and that was kind of in the midst of. Oh no, I did not re-rank it. I still have it at a 9. It is not a 9. But I think I'll go with an 8. Like I think kind of whenever I said story and character design are 10 out of 10, but the actual game mechanics are 6. If I'm being generous, so 10 to 6 divided by 2 averages out to an 8, and I feel good with that.
Yeah.
Like I am looking forward to Acts 2 and 3, and even if it's more of the same, I mean I'm along for the ride with the story. So it's like okay, hopefully it's not more of the same. Hopefully they learn. And who knows? I don't know. Are there errata packs coming, like for updated cards and stuff? Do you know? I can't remember if they said like they're doing.
I'm just assuming it's going to come with 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to bother with another release. I have nothing hard to base this claim off of, but
yeah.
See, what was it? So it's next year sometime we're getting.
Yeah, I think that pushed back.
Yeah, so I
coming.
think I assume they just wait till then to do their upgrading. Because they're going to come out with that. They're going to need to redo their darkness tokens, their everything. Several tokens are getting reprinted.
Yeah.
Like darkness isn't as bad, I know. And then wilt is getting nerfed.
Gotcha.
Or wilt's getting changed. And then like almost all these different statuses are getting modified slightly.
Gotcha.
So
I mean, and then weapons and stuff,
weapons and
like
shit,
the bone chippers we knew had different dice on it. So
yeah, and they're adding the new things to the Zanbados.
That's right.
And they might rebalance a bunch of other shit.
Yeah, it'd be cool if they like, hey, here are the bosses in Act 1. Here's their new sheets. It's like fantastic. Yeah,
I mean, they've got a fuck ton on the print and play, but that's it. And I'm
right.
like, I check the erratas and I read through those. But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna print shit.
It's like I don't want to do that. I'll just wait for the actual stuff. But that's it, everyone. That's our thoughts on Middara Unintentional Malum Act 1. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.